Hey everybody, Mike Miller with the Herald Times. Columnist Jeremy Price coming to you from, it says Ohio State right there, but there it is. We're at Wisconsin. You probably knew that. Didn't have to say that. It took way too much time to do that. Here at the Kohl Center, frankly, a house of horrors for Indiana and really a lot of other teams. Although Indiana's losing streak here in this building is now stretched to 14 consecutive losses here in Madison, a 82-79 overtime defeat to the Badgers.
Probably one of the most bitter pills of those 14 to swallow, all things considered.
There's a lot to consider, yes. We mentioned this in the video the other day. Indiana hasn't come up to this place it's probably been a while since they've had this kind of momentum coming into this game, in this place, and then to have the Badgers, frankly, what they are this year. Obviously, they've played a little better of late. Ethan Happ has really come on strong, and he was outstanding tonight. Nigel Hayes has really found his stride, too.
He's just a matchup nightmare for Indiana, to be honest with you. I mean,
no question about it. And then you have Yogi Ferrell. We pointed all this out in our video the other day. We hit all these. Yogi Ferrell was outstanding, too. This was my lead in my story this was nearly Yogi's masterpiece. This was nearly the game where he nearly took them wire to wire. Had 30 points, and they nearly pulled this out. Had a couple near misses end of regulation. They almost had this one. They really almost had this one. But turnovers once again, 19, just like the January 5th meeting in Bloomington. Too many of those. Frankly, I just saw too much sloppiness in general, both offensively. The offense wasn't crisp. Defensively, there were just too many holes. I don't think they were terrible defensively. They just had too many holes come up at the wrong time. And then the fouls, which are usually kind of a staple of trips up here. Very disproportionate number. I think Wisconsin shot 19 more foul shots than Indiana. So
I think first of all, missed opportunities is the story of this game in so many ways. First of all, because I think Indiana could have built themselves a little bigger cushion in the first half at one point and sort of wasted that with a lot of dumb turnovers and some missed shots that they would normally make. I think a combination of those two things really cost them perhaps building a double-digit lead in the first half, then turned around, found themselves down by 8 late in the half, got it back within 1 at halftime where you're thinking they're in good shape, and then kind of lay an egg to start the second half once again, give Wisconsin a little breathing room. So just a lot of missed opportunities with the turnovers like you talked about. But then there were the free throws. 37 attempted free throws for Wisconsin on the night. That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a whole lot.
And, I mean, I think Yogi Ferrell sort of summed it up best post-game when asked about it. He's just like, well, they're playing at home, so they get the calls. And I guess that's one way to look at it, but I don't think it makes you feel any better if you're Indiana. And to be fair, I didn't think the officials were particularly good either way tonight.
No, I'm sorry. I hate being the guy who kind of brings this up, but yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, Pat Driscoll had a rough night. Gosh, where did we go?
There was a lot of flipping and flopping going on out there, let's just say. Yeah,
we had some conversations about that up in our end. Rough night. And Tom Crean didn't shy away from it either. He kind of pointed to it right after the game as diplomatically as he could, although frankly I think he went over didn't cross the line, I shouldn't say that. He left no guessing, wondering at all how he felt about it after the game.
He did that very clearly without subjecting himself to the possibility of fines or any such thing, basically.
Yeah, I don't think Tom's pocket. I don't think he carries a pocketbook. Tom's wallet. I don't think Tom's wallet's going to be hit too hard after this one.
Well, think about that, folks.
This building, man, I'll tell you, it's got a hold on you. But no, you're absolutely right, and with that, and this has kind of been Crean's mantra all year, and frankly, it's not too hard to figure out that if you let a team get to the line that many times in the game, you're not going to be successful.
Right.
And they knew that coming into this game, that two things they pointed to coming into this trip, as veterans of this trip they are, turnovers and fouls, and frankly, both of them were very far against them on this particular trip.
And two things in that regard. In spite of all that, Indiana put itself in position to win the game in the final minute of regulation, twice having the lead, and twice fouling Nigel Hayes. And for all the talk about the good officiating, bad officiating, those calls were fairly obvious. Indiana earned those calls. They put him there in that situation and give him credit for stepping up and making them. Although at that point, I wasn't surprised he made them, even though he's been sort of a hit and miss free throw shooter at times. But when you're attempting 16, 17, 18 free throws, at some point you kind of get comfortable and settle into a rhythm there, and he definitely settled into a rhythm. But that, again, goes back to the missed opportunities for Indiana, and had they had a lead of more than 2 points, they would have been in much better position in that final minute, but they didn't, and then they committed the fouls that led to the game going to overtime, and of course Yogi missed the potential game winner at the end of regulation, and ironically enough, he pump faked Nigel Hayes into the air, but instead of jumping into him, Yogi actually jumped away to try and get the shot off cleanly, and I thought probably in that situation he should have forced the action a little bit. Whether the call would have been made or not, who knows? Right. That's another issue, but it would have been interesting to see him sort of force the decision a little bit.
Yeah, the other end of this discussion is obviously centers on Ethan Happ, who's really played outstanding basketball, the Big Ten Freshman of the Week this week, as Yogi Ferrell gets the Player of the Week award, Happ gets on the freshman end. 25 points tonight. And
career high.
New career high. 8 rebounds, just schooled Thomas Bryant. I think Happ's a redshirt freshman, right?
Redshirt freshman, yeah.
So he's got a little bit more experience, I guess you could say, but this was all Happ in this matchup. Happ just fed Thomas Bryant some lunch and dinner too.
Yeah, and Bryant got in foul trouble, which sort of hampered the way he played. He was much more aggressive early in the game than he was late in the game, but I also thought Happ did a good job of adjusting. Early on, Bryant was blocking his shot and really giving him a hard time with his length, and Happ kind of figured out that, first of all, he was quicker than Bryant, could drive around him. Secondly, once he got inside, to jump into Bryant's body instead of trying to clear space and eliminate his ability to take advantage of that length and block the shot. So credit to him for making the adjustments. And again, Bryant did a lot of good things tonight, but he also looked exactly like a freshman in a lot of ways tonight.
Yeah. Happ and Hayes, I think, combined for 9 of 11, 8 or 9 of Wisconsin's 11 overtime points. Came down to an inbound pass there at the very end. Inbound pass that frankly went absolutely nowhere to no one.
Turnover number 19.
Yeah, fitting way to end this one. From here, back home to Assembly Hall, Minnesota, another cold place. Minnesota's in town Saturday afternoon. What should be another win for Indiana. Probably convincingly so. Minnesota's not very good. From here, though, I really, of all the losses that have kind of been produced in this place, Indiana, despite everything, like you said, I mean, they had a chance right there at the end, and for as uneven and as reckless as Troy Williams was, he had 15 points. I mean, they got enough to be there at the end, and I think they can at least go home feeling. It doesn't feel like the sky's falling. Right. Like it still feels like they've sustained stuff from this 12-game winning streak, the 7-0 start in Big Ten play.
Yeah, and as I kind of mentioned in my column a little bit, it's sort of a double-edged sword Indiana walks away from here with. They showed some composure, they showed some maturity, and for all the struggles that they had during the game, they had some people that stepped up and made some big shots. Colin Hartman hit a big 3 down the stretch. Robert Johnson had a bucket down the stretch. Troy Williams was up and down roller coaster as ever tonight, but did some good things after doing some absolutely horrid things for a while in this one. But there's, on one hand, so many positives they can take away from this, feeling like, had a shot gone differently one way or the other, they'd be walking out of here with a win and feeling so good about themselves. On the other hand, so many missed opportunities and sort of unforced errors that really cost them in this situation. The good news is, like you said, home against Minnesota, a team they should, frankly, pummel.
Yeah. I should have said that myself.
And then it's sort of back to work next week, and we'll see what they learned here when they go up to Michigan.
Yeah, two more on the road next week. Obviously, getting back to home with that Minnesota game is going to help, but we'll see where they go from here. 82-79 overtime loss. Jeremy, let's find the Zamboni and get out.
Sounds good.